I realize. Okay, let's go. You're a host. You should be able to stream. We should tell people we are streaming. Back to you, Yash. Yep.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to weeklywed from Business School of AI. Weeklywed is our happy place to share, learn, discuss, and explore. Weeklywed occurs every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'm your host, Yashaswini Vishwanath, and you can call me Yash. I'm logging from Bangalore, India, and I would like to know where you're all logging from. We would like to get to know you better. Please type away your name and location in the chat so that we can connect with you. I'm an AI researcher who focuses on responsible AI, and I'm doing my master's here in India. And weeklywed is our place where we come together as a community and we discuss topics related to artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, and Internet of Things. At weeklywed, we empower and enable the students to break into AI or to explore more of it. Generally, we host speakers from varied backgrounds working on AI and allied technologies. Before I introduce the star speaker of today's session, Dr. Chitra Dorai, I would like to introduce Janya and Ruth, who's going to talk to us about Women in AI Hackathon and the UN World Innovation Day Hackathon. So Janya is here on special request to address us about the Women in AI Hackathon, which is running. And Janya, the floor is yours, and please give us more details about this.
All right, thank you so much, Yash, for having us here today. I really appreciate it. Being amongst this wonderful group. I'm just amazed about the group meeting today. So just learning about this group, so it seems like a wonderful space, and I'm looking at the chat to see where everyone's from. So it's global, like Women in AI. It seems the Women in AI is a global nonprofit think tank with the main goal of including women in the AI space. So one of the things I'm involved in is the Women in AI Hackathon, and I see one of our team members here as well. It's a hackathon that will be occurring June 10th to 12th. And one of the main reasons I'm coming on today is sort of to promote our hackathon open house launch, which will occur tomorrow. So I will include in the chat the link for that for you to register. It's by Eventbrite, and come on over, and then you'll hear everything about a hackathon that we had last year. This will be our second one. So we had our first one last year. It was really fantastic. We're hoping to improve and expand on it this year. So if you'd love to hear a bit more about what we have planned for this year and just ask your questions about it, we'd love to see you there tomorrow.
So thank you, Janya. Thank you for telling us about the hackathon. And I'm sure all of us here would like to attend the open house tomorrow, and we will come with our questions there.
When is it?
Wonderful, thank you. So it will take place June 10th to 12th over the weekend. It's a Friday to Sunday. Our launch for tomorrow is 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to put the info in the chat right now.
So Janya, I have one question which will help everybody here and whoever is on the live stream. Like, the question is, who should come for this? Who is the most benefiting people who can get this out of this hackathon? So who can come for this?
Oh, that's a great question. For hackathon, our theme is zero exclusion. And by that, we mean anyone who has an interest in AI, machine learning, and data science. And our goal is really, the hackathon bridges entrepreneurship with the tech space. So anyone who may be interested, has an idea, and wants to spend the weekend working through with other partners. So we're going to have designers, UX designers on teams. We're going to form teams and have UX designers working towards one of the UN Sustainable Developmental Goals. So the goal is to use tech, use entrepreneurship, put it together with people that you may not have met, or if you have a team, you can join with a team and use it to pitch a solution to one of the UN SDGs.
So Janya, students, early career professionals, mid-career professionals, those who are trying to career pivot into AI, and those who are already in AI and who would like to contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. What about the ones who are thinking of having their own startup? Is there some room for them?
Oh, absolutely. So if they get involved as well, Women in AI will be having an incubator program, and you could learn a bit more about that as well tomorrow. The program advisor for the Women in AI North America will be talking about the 4 different programs. And one is an incubator program that will be happening during the summertime in 2022. So yeah, definitely if you have a startup idea and you want to spend like 4 to 6 weeks learning entrepreneurship skills and how to take it from idea to a pitch stage, yes, definitely.
Thank you, Janya. We will surely catch you in tomorrow's open house.
All right, thank you.
For
Great
joining
question.
us here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yash. I appreciate it. Nice meeting everyone.
And over to Ruth. Ruth is here to talk to us about the UN World Innovation Day Hackathon. So Ruth, please address the students here and in the live stream to know more about the hackathon.
Hello, everyone. The UN World Innovation Day is a week-long, it has been a week-long kind of hackathon with workshops happening all throughout the week. And then the hackathon will officially start on the 29th. So there are 3 challenges that you can pick whichever you want to take part in. So the first one involves Tech for Good, where it's all about using whichever idea that you have to just bring in, make sure you incorporate definitely the United Nations Sustainable Goals and see how we can use technology for good, especially to solve any social issues. Now, the second one, it might be a bit confusing with the first challenge, but that involves blockchain. So the first one for Tech for Good, you can do any technology. Then if you want to bring in blockchain, your challenge falls in challenge number 2, where they're looking to for social application or social use of blockchain to solve any social issues in line with the UN Sustainable Goals, which focus on decentralization, transparency, and security. And then the final one is they're trying to find out about NFTs for good. So we've heard about the buzz in the NFT world. So they want to use this platform to see, apart from art and apart from tokens and all that, what else can NFTs do? How else can people benefit from NFTs? We have very good sponsors for each of the challenges: Oracle, Polygon, AI4D. So be sure to check them out, join a challenge. You can also showcase an existing project that you have. And the options are endless because it's everyone from all countries in the world. It's a global competition. And that's the best part about it. You get to learn. You can join solo. The Discord channel is super active where you can get to form a team. And I'm taking part, and it's very interesting because I get to learn so much. My mind is just blown away. Thank you so much, Yash. Yash, you're on mute.
I'm sharing the screen here and everybody can see the United Nations World Innovation Day Hackathon. And here is the schedule of the hackathon. We had the keynote speakers who were there during the opening ceremony. I was there in the opening ceremony and viewing it. So we had the 3 challenges Ruth was talking about: the tech for good, blockchain for good, NFTs for good. And we have the judges here. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you for telling us about this hackathon. And I asked the same question to Ruth: who should come for this hackathon? Who will benefit the most by coming to this hackathon?
Personally, I feel like the hackathon benefits almost everyone in all fields, whether you're in tech, whether you are in health, whether everywhere, as long as you're using technology in whatever field you are in, this hackathon is for you. And the best part is you get to showcase it to the world. You get to get options, you get to learn from others. What are other parts of the world doing? You know, maybe you can better your solution. Maybe you can expand your research. I feel like that's the best thing. And it's not really, if you are an artist or you're a creative or looking for something, there's a pot for you. For everyone else, I mean, it's quite inclusive, and women are super, super encouraged to participate in these things.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for telling us about the benefits of the hackathon. And we've had a really good time at the opening ceremony. We learned a lot, and we'll surely participate in the hackathon. And those who are seeing the live stream, they will also benefit of knowing about the hackathon. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
And now we go to the main segment of weeklywed, where we host international speakers in AI, AV, and IoT. Today, we have a very special speaker, Dr. Chitra Dorai, Master Inventor in AI at IBM, world's first Asian American woman as IBM Research Fellow, hundreds of research publications and 45 plus patents, former CTO, VP, IBM Fellow at Cognitive Solutions and Services, an alumni of Indian Institute of Science, of Indian Institute of Technology, and University of Michigan. Dr. Chitra Dorai, we are so honored to have you here. We first had you at the IoT Day event 2022, and we were mind blown by the topics that you shared with us. And we thought we need more of your time, more of your teachings, and we have called you here. So welcome to weeklywed, Dr. Chitra.
Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Sudha. More than anything in life, I appreciate the gift of time. So I want to thank all of you for making room in your day, wherever you may be at this moment in time, that you decided to participate in this conversation. I plan to have a lot of fun talking with you, getting to know you, hearing what's on your mind with respect to AI, and hopefully we'll walk away with a good feeling of time well spent. Yash, I went to Michigan State University, not University of Michigan. I mean, if you know the history behind those schools, so replacing one with the other can, evoke riots. So yeah, thank you for that introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. And this is a live Q&A session, so everybody in the Zoom room can chat their questions and I'll field them. So now, Dr. Chitra, you come with more than 20 years of experience in AI. And AI itself has a history spanning many decades. It started from McKinsey and McCarthy, and the ideas of artificial intelligence that they wanted to create, the madness they had about the AI. Till today in 2022, we have seen a lot of applications now in AI where we have a lot of Python libraries, and we can create AI in our own system using Google Colab. We have come a very long way in the last 50, 60 years. So you are the best person to tell us about the journey of AI.
So if we start with the history of AI, we'll be here forever, right? So if you go, if you use, how far do you go back? I like to normally use 1950 as a starting point. So even that is now, that means 72 years of amazing work that has gone on. Before I get started on the history, let me tell you a little bit about where I am today. So because you will see the connection as I walk you through what fascinates me about the history of AI and what we are doing today. So Yash introduced me with my background in IBM. That's what, after my PhD in computer science with a specialization in AI, I'm a vision person. I was, when I was young, I had this hubris of, making computers see like human beings do. With the PhD, I was humbled to know how well, how hard it is to make a computer see and analyze things like we do so effortlessly. So after PhD, I spent 20 plus years of my professional career at IBM, starting from IBM research, then moved on to different IBM divisions. And the last position I held was the global CTO for cognitive services. But since 2018, I stepped out of IBM to start my own company, Amicus Brain Innovations, which is where I am at now. And this company is dedicated to changing the caregiving experience for patients, people living with neurodegenerative disorders around the globe. So all along my work, I've always focused on solving an important problem. We'll come to that. So at this point in time, with the demographic change shifts happening right in front of our eyes, with the global age skewing towards the older age group, dementia and related diseases are becoming a major cause for concern. And that's where I wanted to spend the second half of my life trying to address that. So going back to Yash, so you might have heard of course, Alan Turing's Imitation game. So that he published the paper, right? Computing Machinery and Intelligence. That was the title of his paper, published in 1950. And he opens that paper with this amazing sentence. Even when I think about it today, I propose to consider the question, can machines think? So if you're a student of AI already, or you're planning to get into it, I would urge you to go read the paper.
Let's go.
So what a bold vision and an important question to ponder, to be able to start your publication to your paper, your technical paper. I propose to consider the questions, can machines think? Can machines think? And he goes on to defining machines and defining the term think and so on. So at the same time, in 1950, there was also an important paper by Claude Shannon, Programming a Computer for Playing Chess. So if you look back at the history of AI, I look at them as strands of parallel strands of work happening in different functional areas that mimic our functions, our brain. So there was a ton of work that happened in building computers that would beat humans in different games, including chess and Go. And at the same time, there was effort in making computers understand and use natural language. A fun example would be the ELIZA program. Again, back in history, you should read about that, how ELIZA was able to have a chat using natural language questions, and many of the people were drawn to it. It used a simple technique of looking for keywords and substitution methodology, but people felt so comfortable that they were telling their ELIZA became a therapist. So you might want to look into that work also. It's very fascinating to read that. So natural language, and at the same time, there's quite a bit of work going on in terms of understanding the image processing, understanding how our eyes work. David Mark's book on vision is a seminal work which tries to relate how we see the world to how we can build, engineer computers. So what you're going to see is this parallel strands of work that attempted to mimic the functions. We do so well, right? Effortlessly, whether it's raining or snowing, I'm still able to see clearly and figure out what is happening around me. How do you make the computer see similarly? So what I would like to do is fast forward. There are tons of content on the web and amazing books and classes now being on the history of AI that you might want to look into. What is, I would say, when I finished my PhD and came into to the corporate research world, there was, I would characterize that period as actually AI going through a period of a lull, a pause. The web had exploded, and all the money was on e-commerce, and research follows the money. So that was where all the major advances happening. So, however, in the second half of 2000, closer to where we are, some important advances were made, which led to what I would call this renaissance in the interest of AI and what we are experiencing in this explosion of interest. Three things. One is the whole computational power, right? Power to execute machine learning algorithms became vastly improved, and graphical GPUs became part of the machinery. Second, I would say, actually the first one is data. I would put data, and data. Web really altered the way we started collecting and sharing data, and that meant we could run experiments on enormous sets of data and make robust statistical inferences, which led to having the data led to a lot of advances in statistical machine learning. So that was an important driver, impetus in this resurgence in AI technology. So data, availability of data, then the availability of amazing computing power. And thirdly, the algorithms, the neural network algorithms themselves became more sophisticated, and researchers have come up with what you will now know as deep learning techniques, the origins of deep learning techniques, how you train a multi-layer neural network, which was a very key milestone in that area of research. So the sophistication and the availability of these techniques, so that we don't have to code. When I did my PhD, I actually wrote the KNN algorithm from scratch, and I don't think anyone of you would think about doing that, because you have so many libraries in different languages available, so many different machine learning techniques at your fingertips. So all those three things, I really made AI accessible to anyone who wanted to get into the field. So rather than being held captive in huge laboratories, now we had access to data, we have access to computing power, and we have access to great libraries. So that's where we are. So 2011 saw the event where Watson, IBM's computer, beat human beings in Jeopardy, which is considered a brain game, right? The bastion of our intelligence. So that really was a turning point in terms of the excitement and the possibilities, and what seemed like a dream, science fiction, could now actually be made. And how do we harness the power of AI into making our lives better? So, and today we are in our company, in my company, Amicus Brain, we are tapping into the power of AI to better serve the people living with dementia, as well as their family care partners, to be able to understand their language, understand their problems, and provide them the right advice at the right time. So there's so much more to do.
Dr. Chitra, so we came to know about the entire journey of AI, and we have Sanyukta here, who is would love to hear more about how older folks can access the innovations of Amicus. Sanyukta
great, yes.
She's working on solutions to allow families and older individuals get access to resources which can support aging in place.
Absolutely.
So, Sanyukta, if you have a question for Chitra, you can voice it out.
Hey, Chitra, I'm so happy to see what Amicus is doing. And as a remote caregiver for my parents myself, this is something that I've been doing, searching for good solutions that we can, as family members, as professionals in this space, help our parents age better, help support their will to age in place. And I'm trying, I would love to hear more about like what Amicus Brain is doing to help family members like myself who want to help their parents. How can we get the older folks connected to these powerful technologies? Like, I would love to hear your thoughts on this issue.
Sure. So there is a personal story to why I left IBM and started this company. My mother was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in around 2015, the year when I was made an IBM fellow. So often in life, when you have an amazing bright moment, you also sometimes encounter a very distressing event, which was my mother's diagnosis. So as she went through the different stages of Parkinson's and ultimately started showing dementia symptoms, I became a remote caregiver, and my brother locally cared for her. We saw together the heavy burden caring for a dementia patient, whether the dementia is caused by Parkinson's or other neurodegenerative disorders, including Alzheimer's dementia, vascular dementia, and so on. Regardless of the disease that causes it, the dementia symptoms are extremely onerous on the person living with dementia as well as the people. The symptoms change. The person changes right in front of your eyes over the course of the disease. So you got to constantly understand what is causing it and how do you better care for them. You got to find different kinds of resources because the person will not be able to probably even sign their papers. Their handwriting changes. They may not be able to talk at some point in time when they're going through the disease. So you got to have access to so many different resources that come up as our needs during the, and sometimes there is not enough time to manage your own career, your employment, and take care of your loved ones. So you have to make all these very harrowing decisions about, should I keep my mom at home, or is it better that she is placed in a residential care facility? So you go through this and isolation because you have the same time as others, and you're using the time to manage your personal life, your career, and additionally doing this. So I'm trying to give you a sense of how caregiving burden, I highlighted in the context of dementia, but aging brings on other chronic diseases and similar. So that's when I saw there ought to be a better way, because like me, like Sanyukta, there are close to more than 10 million Americans here are going through the same daily task of caregiving. In the world, it's tens of millions of families going through that. So, and we are all trying to find our own way into it. And I said, there has to be a better way to do this, right? So that's when I wanted to build a technology that we can make available to the far corners of the globe. So someone sitting in, even in a remote place in India has access to the best advice, trusted advice about how to take care. So that's what Amicus. So Amicus Brain has an AI platform, and it provides what we call digital advisors. And these digital advisors are advisors with whom you can talk in a very conversational style in multiple languages. So you don't have to figure out what's the right search word I need to use in order to, you can talk very colloquially. My mom screams at night. I'm going crazy. What do I do? It can be very episodic description. And the AI understands the question and provides you concise, evidence-based insight, practical tips that you can actually go and act on. Okay, it tells you why this is happening so that you understand why the screaming is going on, and what might be causing it, and how here are some 5 different things you can try. Because if you do one thing, the second day it may not work. If you're a dementia caregiver, you know that. So you have to try your different things. So think of this as a care advisor providing moment of need advice about everything, anything and everything related to dementia, how to live well with dementia, how to financially, how to manage a finance related to dementia care and so on. We also have a resource advisor, which helps you to figure out high quality, unbiased advice about where you can find the best audiologist, where you can find an elder care attorney to put affairs in good order, where you can find respite center. Because as caregivers, we constantly face the stress we may need really. So think of these as the digital advisors serving different needs along the disease progression. And it's very easy to use. Because we are dealing with, I'm going back to your question, we are working with, the caregivers might be on the younger age group, but we wanted to make sure the person living with dementia themselves are able to use our services. That's why we didn't, it's conversational so that they can talk, or if they want speed and they want to type, they can do that. So it's chats or speaks. So we continue to build, because as I understood deeply the various needs, from relief from caring, temporary relief from caring, to why not worrying about finances. So I'm building digital advisors to help everyone sort through all the intricacies of decision making.
Wow, that's a very big project, and thank you for that. I will be checking it out. Thank you.
We are slowly making progress. As you said, there's so much to do. We are making progress bit by bit, and the goal is to make this have this be used by everyone who needs it. So yeah, send me an email, and then we'll connect offline.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Dr. Chitra, here we were talking about Amicus Brain, and I would like to ask you, what about AI for social good? Like how you have used AI for social good? What are the other areas in which AI can be used to solve problems which make a societal impact? It makes a difference to people's life in a very big way. So can you give us some examples where you have worked on such problems?
Sure. So the worry when people hear about AI, while you see a variety of reactions. People like us get excited. It's another technology. What can I do with it? And when you talk to people, ordinary people who are hearing this for the first time, there are a lot of concerns, right, about AI itself. So it's very important as an AI engineer, researcher, scientist to focus on what problem are we solving, to be very deliberate and careful, mindful about the problems we choose to solve. And AI for good really succinctly describes that how the projects we do are focused on important, problems of scale, so that anything we build can benefit a large portion of the society globally. So healthcare is an obvious, right, a place where we can use AI and machine learning, from helping to do better diagnosis to where it can augment the services, support services like Amicus Brain is doing. Another place is the finance. I often talk about health, wealth, and a roof over your head. Those are basic, education, and you can add to the list. But those three are basic needs of humanity, anywhere and everywhere. So I'm currently focusing on health, but from between 2008 and 2018, I was focused on wealth. Wealth not in terms of accumulating wealth, but helping people manage their wealth better. And I also did another project during the same time frame. You may remember 2008 was the economy had collapsed, and one of the pillars of the economy, namely the housing market in the US, had collapsed. So several millions of homeowners, people living in their homes, are facing the risk of foreclosure because they were unable to make their monthly payments on their home loans. I mean, mortgages, they are called mortgages in the US, they are referred to. So that was a very dire situation. Imagine millions of people facing the risk of eviction, not being able to live in the community their children go to school or they have grown up in. So that is what, so I moved out of IBM research into an IBM business unit where every day we got up and we served the US public in terms of bringing up, building solutions that can understand the needs of the US homeowner who is delinquent and figure out the right kind of solution. Just to give you an idea, at that time, when somebody is delinquent more than 3 months, they start facing the risk of foreclosure on their home. And the government had rolled out many different programs where you can lower your monthly interest, monthly payment, so that it becomes affordable to start paying again. So the risk of foreclosure goes down, or you can put your home on short sale and deed in lieu, which are special programs, and walk out of the home with dignity rather than being foreclosed, which makes a mark on your credit history. So all these programs were there, but you got to tailor the right kind of solution to the people. And that means you need to understand the pain and their hold on their home, their affinity to where they are living, all that will come in. The numbers don't tell you that story. So which is what I focused on. There were a lot of models about collection models you might have heard of, probability of default, probability of inability to pay. So there were a lot of machine learning models which used, for example, my past payment history, my credit scores, and so on, to make a prediction on, is Chitra going to be able to make another month's home loan payment. But I focused on, while we were built them, my focus was on providing the relief, helping them. So, and that what the homeowner is facing, feeling about their homes, they don't come in numbers. So what I did is my team, I built a number of text processing, natural language processing solutions, speech recognition algorithms, in order to truly understand what people who are calling into the contact center are telling about their situation, and figuring out whether monthly interest rate, monthly payment reduction, or deed in lieu, short sale, all of those, which of those programs are best suited for them. So we saved, I with one solution wherein we understood through natural language processing of what they said in this conversation to the contact center agent, we were able to save thousands of US homeowners from foreclosure in less than 3 years. And that was something close to $55 million of credit that would have been lost in foreclosure value. So it was as a scientist, I think it was an important period in my life. I was fortunate to be able to come on board on that project and have all this data at my available to me to look into, to figure out what the solution is. So it goes back to, I think during that IoT day, I talked about this, right? If you're not working on, this is Richard Hamming's, it's like a mantra for me. If you do not work on important problems, it is unlikely you will do important work. So anyone who desire to make an impact in the community they live in, in the society, that means you have to do important work. And if you want to do important work, you have to solve important problems facing us. And there are, I just touched on healthcare and finance. There is climate change, sustainability. So there are lots and lots of examples of amazing research that's underway.
Dr. Chitra, we heard about the journey of AI and AI for good. And now we would like to talk about life of a researcher, life of an AI researcher, and patents. You have around 45 plus patents. So can you tell us, give us some 5 key takeaways about life of a researcher and a little bit of information about patents?
Of course, yes, yeah, absolutely. So life of a researcher is always exciting, right? You probably are, some of you are living that. And we live in such an exciting time with the amount of data that we have, with the computational, right, power in our hands. I think it is remiss on our part not to take up important problems. There is enough, there's always some problems waiting around the corner to be solved. So life of a researcher is the first is foremost, picking the right choice of your problem, whichever stage you are in, pick the problem. I always tell people when they come and ask me question about, should I do this or that? I'll say, picture yourself all alone in a dark night when everyone else is having fun and you have to somehow do this, write this paper or solve this, step that you're stuck on and so on. What will keep you going? It's only your love for that question. That's the only thing. There's no other external stimuli available to keep you going. So if you can picture, and if this problem is the one you can see yourself doing it, then you've found your calling, right? So these are thought experiments I run all the time. It's a very powerful imagery, and it allows you to envision the future state of what you're solving can lead to. So choice of problem, I would say, and then courage. So you may stumble upon an important problem, or somebody might bring it to you, but you need to have the courage to step up to it, right? Because there are so many easy ways to say no, but it's very hard to knowing that it's an important problem and not turn your back, and that requires courage, I would say. Then third is with courage, you've got a problem. With courage, it's perseverance. There will be a lot of false starts and challenges along the way. So perseverance, because use this visioning technique. You have to see the end goal. So, and that will, so that's what researcher is. And whether I'm solving a problem of today, in my project, or how did I start my project? There's only the scale changes, but you're still the same ingredients go into living that life of a researcher.
Dr. Chitra, we would like to hear about patents. So you have 45 plus patents, and we would like to know how to get started with patents. Yeah. How is it different from papers? And when we think about patents, we always think about the ideas behind the patents, and we say it is the protection of the idea. So can you tell us about it?
Sure. Right. So we are all natural problem solvers. That's why we are doing the things we do. So So think of patenting is a formal process of declaring your idea and showing a way to making it happen. And I'm going to give you some concrete examples. And attributing it to your name or to the, often the company where you're working in order to give you the first mover advantage, of making your idea work and commercially successful, right? So I know people I got introduced to patents in IBM. And then I wandered back during my PhD and said, so many problems I solved, I should have patented it, right? So if you're a PhD student, I think, and you have a wonderful idea, and often these ideas are doing something in a better way, in a more efficient way. Sometimes it can be just an entirely new way of accessing information, right? So there is always, as you look around you, you carry on your daily activities, you observe there is friction. Why does this take so long? Why can't this be faster? I wish, we can do it the other way. All these thoughts race through our heads. And if you can follow through on them and see whether that problem is occurring with a lot of people, then you've landed on an important problem. Then you have an idea to solve it. So usually you go through a process with in the US, it's United States Patent and Trademarks Office, USPTO. So there are a lot of good webinars. Have a look at it, uspto.gov. Have a look at this website. There is a ton of information for the first-time patent inventors. So on a patent, you become an inventor. You have invented this idea, and patent is, think of that as you all write papers, technical papers. You think it is a communication mechanism to convey your idea to people outside of your group. So patent is a similar thing. It's just that the structure is different. How you're writing. So you have to have a core idea. There is a problem, and the problem is not yet solved, and you have an idea to solve the problem, and you have to show how your idea can be implemented. It's called an embodiment. So you have to show the steps of how you will. For example, if I were to patent the care advisor that I talked about, right? So there is a problem that older people may not be able to use the touch devices or keyboard because of their weaknesses in their limbs, so in their hands. So we need to have conversational AI to make it easy for them to interact, right? That's a simple idea. So now I have to show how this can be implemented. So it's not enough to come up with an idea. You have to give an embodiment, the steps to making it happen, so that someone who is reading this, who is familiar with this space, should be able to build following your methods. And similar to our research papers, right? When we publish, I did an experiment, I ran it on 1 million images, and this is what I found. You're giving enough details for someone else to be able to replicate it. That's part of science, is part of replicating and verifying. Similar to that. So patent application has a certain structure, just like research paper. So you develop a patent application. Typically, since it takes time, often people use IP attorneys, intellectual property attorneys nearby to help them craft the application. Then you submit it to the uspto.gov, and the examiner in the problem space reads through, reviews the patent application, and he or she determines whether there was a sufficient novelty and non-obvious idea, and grants you. So you get awarded, you get a patent granted to you with an application, with a number. And now for certain number of years, you have the ability to commercially make it successful. So if someone were to copy that idea, they are infringing on your patent. So patents are the ways in which big pharma companies who invest in several billions of dollars to come up with life-saving drugs, patent the mechanism so that they can commercially recoup their investment. So I would urge you, I want to see lots and lots of women inventors. We can always, right, continue to increase our presence there too. So you can, drop me an email if you want any guidance further. But definitely, as you are solving, as you are thinking of a nice idea, work with your advisor, work with your faculty member, whether it's worth patenting, because some of those ideas could become hugely successful and can serve millions of people around the globe.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. And here we have a question from one of the students here. So Dinesh Joshi is asking this question: is PhD must for a career in research? If it is, then what is the right time to do it? Right after postgrad or after gaining some industrial research experience?
So there is no hard and fast rule. That's what I would say. It really depends on the person, personal situation. So doing PhD as part of what you're going, right? You did your undergrad and postgrad and now PhD. You're now already in, the drill. You're already in a rhythm of knocking out those degrees. So I think continuing and finishing it is a lot more expeditious, right? Faster, and so on. Stepping out and then going back, as you know, re-entry always has certain friction. So that's why I said. But some people have done it. It's doable. Some people have gone and worked, and I think often they come back with amazing insights about the problem they want to solve. So there are advantages and in both ways. So it really depends on the personal situation. When I was a grad student, I went straight. I often tell it's a linear path, undergrad, postgrad, undergrad, then master's, and then PhD. But one of my close friends came back after having kids, and so it was perfectly right, all right, to be able to pick up. I think then it does become, in practical terms, when you have a life with children and families and so on, the time management becomes an important skill, right, that you would need.
Dr. Chitra, Dinesh Joshi has one more question for you. How to choose between starting a research career at startup versus starting career at research labs in IBM, TCS right after your studies? So the difference between research in a startup, career at a startup, and careering at research labs, like IBM.
So they vary in terms of, I would say, stability and excitement potential. I've been on both sides. I've been in the research labs, and then now I'm running a startup where my team members are doing research along with me. So here is it. So when you get an opportunity to work in research labs, you have the backup, the support of a large infrastructure, right? It's already set up, and there is a well-established mechanism in which how things get done, how you do research, what is expected of you, and what are the goals, what are the deliverables, all very well articulated. The expectations are set. So you have the stability and the backing, right? That if you start on a research project that may take multiple years, you will have the backing of your mothership to continue to focus on that and take it to a nice conclusion. With the startups, as you know, there is a lot of volatility. So while you might be, you'll have the chance to do some exciting, cutting edge work where you can see the potential to change lives, become commercially successful. Some of the stability, if someone is looking for stability, that may be of a concern in the startup world. So it comes to risk taking. It boils down to risk taking. Also the projects in the startup world may not have the luxury of not being able to see results for a longer time. Then here you will have a shorter time frame expectations to make sure whatever research it yields results in a very quick way, so that it can be implemented and it can be shown to people who are interested in the company. So again, anything complex, anything interesting, I always tell, is always sufficiently complex that you've got to think through that very carefully. If it was so easy, then life would not be interesting. So, but great question. It is a lot to think about.
So, Dr. Chitra, you were really kind enough to come here and talk to us for the last 1 hour. We covered about the history of AI, the journey of AI, life of a researcher, and we touched upon Amicus Brain and what Amicus Brain is doing. And many here are interested to know more about Amicus Brain. We will share your contact details with them so that they can get in touch with you. And this was a wonderful session. And I would also like to thank Janya and Ruchu, who talked us about the hackathon. Thanks everybody for joining, and special thanks to Dr. Chitra. 1 hour is not enough to cover all the topics. Maybe we will have you again here. We do not know.
Yeah, no, it's lovely making new friends. I look at every opportunity to meet new people. It's making new friends. That's how I envision these meetings, and it is very important. I do want to leave you with the thoughts, right? Especially if you're starting out, and think of this as a whole world of opportunities, exciting potential ahead of you. And sometimes I wish I were born now, so that I can do some of the exciting research questions to address. So, and be persistent in everything, in whatever you believe in. And I think it will differentiate you as someone who stands the ground, who follows through, and who can meet adversity, in its eye, and then go past that. So I do want to. I'm big. One of my, I have many passion projects. Of course, Amicus Brain is now, while it is number one. I am focused on increasing the representation of underrepresented minorities, women. When I came to the US, I told this story. I thought, yay, I went to IIT and very few women in my class. Okay, so I came with lots of hope when I came to the US for my PhD, saying, oh, it's going to be fabulous, lots of people, lots of women. And the situation that it wasn't, there wasn't much change. So I felt, I really thought that, okay, this is a problem that transcends national border. We ought to I ought to do my bit in making sure that we provide the support and the encouragement and the help anyone who is wanting to get into the field of technology, computer science, AI. So keep on going. Yeah.
Dr. Chitra, there's one last question that we have got multiple times today, and that is, how do we collaborate with Dr. Chitra? Can she share some thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. Especially since this group is very special, because the thread of the theme of AI unites us. So I do have internships at my company, depending on, so I think we are here, we have students and professionals and industry leaders who have joined us. So if you're a student and you're specializing in anything and everything in AI, reach out to me. So so part of Amicus Brain is also build a strong team of I call them next gen leaders. So here is a tidbit that dementia patients, 2/3 of them are women, and dementia caregivers, 2/3 of them tend to be women. And Chitra's company, my company, is 2/3 women. So I feel that I've been so fortunate to amass this set of amazing individuals who have stepped up to solve this problem with me. So I'm so thankful for that. So reach out to me. And if you're industry leaders, there's always, I'm fascinated by new problems, new industries. So we can discuss any problems that you're working on. Yeah, so you can use me as a source. And we can work. We'll get to know each other's interests, and we'll find some common ground. So it doesn't have to be exactly aligned with Amicus Brain. There's so many other problems, right? For example, I really want to take the combination of old age and climate change and the implications, understand that that whole space, what it means. So I think as I am moving away from my youth towards the silver age, more and more of my thoughts are, how do we make the world better for this huge population which is aging around the world. So lots of different ways, in short.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. It was wonderful to have you here. And thank you again. I have no other word to say.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel, so thank you for the opportunity to be here. I truly appreciate the gift of time. That's for me the most invaluable, right? It's an invaluable gift that you gave me today. So thanks again, and have a wonderful day wherever you are. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, Yash. Bye, Sudha. Thank you again, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. So we have Weekly Wed every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We have Marliana, who will be joining us next Weekly Wed, who will be mentoring us, teaching us, and sharing her experience on AI, AV, IoT. And we will catch you on the next Weekly Wed at 9 a.m. Pacific time. See you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. Very nice hearing from you.
Thank you.